Sometimes just saying I stay away from the person, or even sometimes just tolerating the person. That's not enough. You see, sometimes we have to reach the point to where we really have to begin to try to understand, because even for the sickest person, like people who do some of the most sickest things to young people specifically, as hard as it is to try to have empathy, right, for that person, we have to try, because it's not healthy, it's not logical, it's not normal. It's something happened to that person. Something definitely happened to that person. And as the saying goes, hurt people hurt people. So while we can't necessarily, I ain't gonna say we can't, but while it may be very difficult to feel sorry for that person, a piece of us, while an individual will still have to be held accountable for the decisions, the choices that they made, right? And on the other side of it, we should try not to be filled totally with a feeling of anger and disgust and no understanding towards a person, because if nothing else, we have to really truly try to understand that in all of our maybe efforts or attempts to be right, to be perfect, to do the right thing, we are flawed in a lot of ways. We are imperfect, and we're going to make a lot of mistakes just naturally. Being the best person we can be, growing up in the best environment that we can grow up in, we're still going to make mistakes. As a parent, as a person, right? As a brother, as a sister, we're going to make mistakes. Even as a child, we're going to make mistakes. And so, as an individual who grew up in an environment that's definitely flawed and unhealthy, counterproductive, dangerous, even more mistakes are going to come out of it. Even, more vices, even more flaws are going to come out of that type of environment. And so, again, from my own personal experience, when I think about my upbringing, that's all I can do, because of, I have to work towards understanding what I went through so that I can explain what I went through in the best light that I can possibly explain it, so that my young ones can have a firmer understanding of why, things played out in the way it did in their early upbringing. And also have an understanding of the kind of man that I am, the man that I am as a result of the things that I went through, the things that I understand, the things that I've gone through, and the things that I'm still, going through. Because again, you don't go through traumas and things and just and be right overnight and be balanced overnight. To be just in a totally good place overnight. But you want to keep striving to be in a better place. And again, for the and I don't want to just make this, the reason why I don't want to make this just about a young person, because all of us have parents. And so this is affect young people all the way up to older people in regards to their parents and their views of their parents sometimes, because sometimes we get older and have never resolved things with a parent. And sometimes we never get a chance to, because that parent done died. I was once an individual who had totally disowned my mother. My father had kind of got his life together and kind of started doing right, but I was literally raised by two parents that was in the streets. From what I last recall, when I was around the 4th grade, that probably was as normal as it got around that time. But after that, everything went downhill. And so my mother was a victim to the streets, on drugs and all this, that, there, and other, and still dealing with it. You know what I'm saying? And so my father also alcoholic and on drugs. And he brought me around that whole lifestyle and teaching me things in the streets and this, that, because a person can only give you the best of what they have. An individual can only give you the best of what they have. And sometimes the best of what they have is shit, right? But it's the best of what they have. And so he brought me around that. And guess what? In my early young years, because again, I was literally bred by the streets. So my mindset was street. That was my reality. So for my two oldest sons, that's what I introduced them to. Even though they might not even remember because they were so young, but I done exactly what my father did, because that's what, that's how he brought me up. That's what he did with me. That's the kind of stuff that he introduced me to. So in my thinking, I want to teach them certain things as early as possible so that they don't have to go through certain things. Again, what I would want my young ones to always understand is that, because of where I come from, what I went through has a lot to do with what y'all had to go through. And that's like the sins of the father being passed down to the child in a sense. Because of what I had, the mistakes I made, my young ones had to suffer it as well. But this is what I would always try to encourage us from one person to, because I had totally disowned my mother, but it had reached a point though that I realized that my mother still was able to maybe sometime write me a letter while I was in prison, still sometimes send me some money while I was there, still try to come see me every blue when she had the opportunity to. And so some brothers didn't even have that. And so I realized one time, and this is, I'm gonna say this last thing in closing, that with my one time Young Levanzane had this book called, I had read in there, called Pieces from Broken Pieces. And she, I done read all of her books at this time. And so I know how she grew up. I know about all the abuse she suffered, all these different things she had went through as a little girl, right? Emotional, physical abuse, so on, right? Sexual abuse. And so when she had her kids, she was trying to evolve and get her life together. She was trying to, figure this whole thing out. And she had, I think, like a son and like they had 2 daughters or something like that. And so anyway, her son ended up going to jail. She kept trying to give her son, all of them, the best of what she had. She not even giving them that world she went through. They got a world way better than what she went through. Yet still, when her son go to jail, he blamed her. He blamed her for whatever it is. I guess she failed because, again, you're not going to always do the right thing. And then when you have another human being, which is your child, in their perception, in their perspective of what they're experiencing, what they're going through, that's a whole other thing to deal with, right? And so he got locked up and he blamed his mother. So in this book, she put a letter in this book. She put his letter and she put her letter in the book. And the thing about her letter that resonated with me more than anything, what opened me back up to embrace my mother, is when she said, I don't know why God chose to send your spirit through my vessel. But that's between you and him, because at the time that he chose to send you through me, I was still a young woman trying to figure out and get my life together, trying to figure out, what's going on with me and just trying to pick up the broken pieces up and figure out what to do with them. You know what I'm saying? And so that made me realize, because at the time I got kids too. At this point, my older 2 boys. So I'm doing all this time. And that made me reflect on that. So as a father, reflecting on how my absence may affect my mistakes may affect my son, I had to really re-examine how the mistakes my mother done made, how it affected me. And so I had to understand that my mother too was a young woman that was going through things, that had experienced all types of abuse and sexual abuse and this, that, and other, and those things was never rightly addressed, never rightly given concern to, and she had to deal with those things in the best way she knew how, and she made a lot of mistakes and still making mistakes, but here the thing is though, she's not perfect, and I can't, this is what I got. This is what the universe gave me to deal with, and so be it. I got to love her for that, and love it the best way I can. Don't mean that it's always easy. Don't mean there's a lot of things that she do. Don't make me blow my lid every now and then. But at the same time, I embrace her as my mom, and I love her. You know what I'm saying? And I still go try to make sure she's good and take care of her. I go check on this, that, and other, as well as me and my other siblings. And that's what I would encourage, man. For anyone who this video can help, it's necessary for you to get beyond, this hindrance. If you have this hindrance, where you have an ill thing about your parent, whether you met them or not, you have to understand that they had a life before you came into existence. And sometimes, things happen. You don't always plan to have a child, and it happens, And it's still their responsibility that for them not planning it and then having it, and then even when they had the child, they don't still stand up for it and do what's necessary and right. But at the same time, who are we to judge, right? In closing, it was said before, I heard it once said in this lecture, that if you grew up like this person grew up, and you went through all these things this person went through, raised in the same environment by the same people, and had the same chemical imbalances in your brain that this person had, how do you know you would not have made the same decision that this person made in their life, right? So how do you know? How do you know you wouldn't have made the same mistakes? How do you know? Don't nobody know that, right? Don't nobody know that. And so that's why we are not in a position to ever really truly judge. We can see a person acting and say they're wrong, but to say what a person's intent was, what's in their heart, was they really trying or not, we're not in a position to do that. So anyway, with all that being said, peace and blessings, just try to love what you have, man, and move forward, because you don't want to repeat, that cycle. You don't want to repeat it by having those ill feelings. You don't want to not be able to open up and love someone fully and be loved fully, as a result of you having this blockage in your life.